right, first things first. So today I want to talk about veterans. They've gone through so much, only for them to be treated like the crew members of the USS Nostromo in Alien, expendable. Everyone in the country owes them respect. They put their life on the line so that we all have a country to feel safe in. Now, I feel like they put their life on the line for billionaires and corporate greed, in addition to being unwilling participants in genocide on either side of the aisle. Now, some of them are on the streets, some unable to deal with civilian life after deployment, and some dealing with mental health struggles after what they've seen and done, or probably a lot of other things that we don't even see or talk about. I know a little about that on a personal level. I never enrolled in the military, and I wouldn't be able to now if I wanted to because of my trans status. But before I transitioned, I was married, as I've mentioned before in my longer form videos on YouTube. But what I didn't mention, because it wasn't relevant at the time during those videos, was that I divorced my then husband. The reason being was because he was refusing treatment for his PTSD after being in the Army. He wasn't willing to talk to me about his feelings or what he went through. The VA was there to help, but it took months every time for him to even talk to a therapist. I know because I went with him every time. Meanwhile, when we were home, he'd get upset at me for the smallest things, making my stomach problems worse, calling me names, hovering over me like he was thinking about hitting me, and all of that. He never saw combat, but I still believed him about what he went through. And I tried to help him when I could, but with some boundaries, which was extremely difficult for me at the time to do. But I did it because I was afraid. Afraid of being hurt by my own husband, among other things. It took me a long time to heal from that. During that time of healing, I had some major anger and distrust at anyone in uniform, because all I saw was my ex-husband. I originally thought that military people in general were terrible people hell-bent on being terrible partners. I saw it within my family too. My sister married a military man, and he did worse things than what I had been through. It could have been worse, is what I was told when I saw a therapist before I divorced my ex-husband. The look on her face told me everything I needed to know. And so I left. I didn't want to find out how bad it could get if no one else was living with us at that time. Fast forward to today, and I don't mean I just learned this yesterday. I mean after doing the work and healing myself. So don't get it twisted. I have more gratitude for those in uniform now. I realized that back then my prejudice came from only 2 people that were in the military. Granted, my ex was in the Army and the other was, and still is, in the National Guard. I realized today that the problem isn't our veterans. It's the system. The system that chews up and spits out our veterans like a piece of gum and spits it out onto the street. Those that do sign up aren't soft. They are dealing with things that no human being should have to deal with. Things that require help in order to heal from. They deserve better than that. They really do. They're not, quote, suckers and losers like some people would like you to believe. They have the biggest hearts. They chose to put their life on the line for you and for me. But they come back home only to harbor all of that negativity that comes with war and have nowhere to get rid of it. That darkness stays with you, as I've witnessed in the people I knew who were associated with it. I can't imagine how it was for those people who actually have deployed and lost people they loved and fought with. Vets who have seen war only want peace. War should only ever be fought as a last resort, after trying every other tactic known to man. All those ribbons they earned mean a lot, but they'd rather have their dead friends back. They'd rather have peace. They'd rather have help. They'd rather just be human and not have to fight at all. As many of us enjoy just that every day. To those who think war is fun and exciting, have not experienced someone bringing you a flag, telling you your son, husband, daughter, or wife is dead. I haven't myself, but that doesn't mean I don't know what it's like to hear your loved one died in a way that you never thought would happen that way, or at least hoped wouldn't happen. You also have no idea what it's like to have mental health struggles and have little to no help, pushing away those who love you because of the trauma. War is an ugly thing, sometimes necessary, but it only makes more veterans and trauma and death. I want to let every vet know that I support you and I love you. I'm sorry this system is so callous in the way that its help is practically non-existent. And to those who were in the military and are now being forcibly removed because they are trans, I'm truly sorry. As a trans person myself, I have no words. I would be upset too if they suddenly ripped away my livelihood or a dream or however it is that you saw yourself being in the military. With everything I'm saying here, this applies to you too. I just wanted to make sure you knew. Now, with all that being said, spiritually, this is an example of hell. At least in my opinion. Hell is not a real place after we die. I personally believe it's a state of being. There's a reason that people say that veterans have been through hell and back. They have to navigate a darkness that none of us would ever see in our lifetime. I'm sure it's lonely, suffocating, and trauma-ridden. It reminds me of the sunken place in Get Out. That feeling of being alone and unable to feel in control of emotions or thoughts or memories. Little things triggering you to think you're back in war fighting for your life. At least it could be that bad for a lot of vets if they've seen combat. PTSD doesn't only come from having seen combat, though. Vets deserve to have the version of life that feels like heaven on earth, too. Just like we do. Or at least, we strive to. Like better access to mental health services, EMDR therapy, physical therapy, medical access, housing, crisis lines, and more. And each of those need to be at their best if we're going to actually help veterans and those currently serving. We say thank you for your service and then vote for people who don't give a fuck on if they survive service after retiring or being honorably discharged. We need to support those who have served a lot more than we have been. We need to start thinking of others more in our actions, our words, and for ourselves. Those are the things that affect the culture we cultivate around veterans and mental health, as well as serving and going to war in general. The system makes out being in the military to be a fun and exciting thing, or even just being cool. While those feelings are good, they minimize the real meaning of being in the military. Being willing to die to have our freedoms. It's an underlying mood, but it only ever seems to be talked about after the fact, when we see the repercussions of it. They talk to recruits beforehand, but how can you ever truly be prepared for something as horrific as war? The answer is, you can't. All you can do is make sure they know how to defend themselves. At least that's my theory. But this is all to say, we should be treating our veterans with more respect and dignity than we are right now and have been in the past. They need the care that they deserve. I don't like war as much as the rest of us, but it's unfortunately something that is necessary when push comes to shove. But I will say this. We need leadership that is capable, able to communicate, and knows when war is inevitable after trying everything else. I hope that we can find someone qualified enough to keep all of this in mind. The sooner the better. Veterans deserve better care and actual respect in action, not just provocative words. Doing so protects more than just veterans. It protects families by protecting mental health. It protects everyone by having more resources to offload that negative energy and negative experiences they've had to hold for all of us so that we can all live the lives we are living now. With that being said, as always, remember, keep your mind and your heart open. Peace.